The Tekken series was on the top of the world after the success of Tekken 2, which became a bestseller just like the first game. Tekken 2 was praised for improving all the problems wrong with the first game, and its overhaul in the graphics department. It was no surprise that there was demand for a third Tekken game. The pressure was high for Namco as they really needed to find any other things that they could expand upon for Tekken 3. So much so that it was in development for 2 years prior from Tekken 2's release. And after lots of hard work, Tekken 3 hit the arcade scene on March 20th, 1997, and a year later, it was released for the PlayStation console with more content and playable characters. Tekken 3 was the first Tekken game I ever played and owned. Yeah, I remember a little bit of Tekken 2, but unfortunately, I never got to play the game until about 2000. So while Tekken 2 was the first Tekken game I ever saw, Tekken 3 was the first one I ever played. And well, my nostalgia for this game is through the fucking roof. Tekken 3 is considered to be one of the best fighting games of all time, and has sold a record total of 8.5 million worldwide. Holy shit. On Metacritic, it's placed at 96 out of 100 and it ranked as number 2 on their list of the greatest PlayStation games. Tekken is probably one of the most beloved fighting games of all time, even today. So, does Tekken 3 deserve all the hype and praise it got and continues to get today? Let's dive on in. Tekken 3's story continues on from Tekken 2, where Heihachi was victorious in defeating Kazuya, and like all Mishima family tradition, gets thrown off something. In this case, he was thrown into a volcano. Now, 15 years have passed, and Heihachi has regained control of the Mishima Zaibatsu, and has started the Tekken Force, a group that essentially works as its own personal bodyguards. Guess he didn't want to take any chances this time around. Anyway, Heihachi learns about a powerful being named Ogre, who possessed immense power that rivaled that of the Devil Gene in his son Kazuya. Because of his lust for power, Heihachi wants to capture and harness the power for himself. We learn that Ogre has been killing the greatest martial artists from all around the world over the years. We then catch up with Jun Kasama, heroine of Tekken 2, who was living a peaceful, quiet life but sensed Ogre's presence and felt that he was coming for her next. We also learn that she gave birth to her son, whom she named Jin after she had some with Kazuya. Fearing for the safety of her son, on Jin's 15th birthday, she tells him to seek Heihachi if anything should happen to her. Unfortunately, Jun gets attacked and decapitated by Ogre. Against her wishes, Jin tries to fight him off, but fails miserably and is knocked unconscious. When he awakens, he finds his home burned to the ground and his mother's body missing. With hate in his heart and wanting revenge, Jin becomes afflicted with the devil, leaving a scar on his arm, which lies dormant within him. Jin finds Heihachi and takes refuge with him while receiving some training as well as finishing high school. 4 years later, Jin is a master of the Mishima karate style and is ready to face Ogre. When he turns 19, Heihachi announces the King of Iron Fist Tournament 3 in the hopes of luring Ogre out, and from there, the game begins. The tone of Tekken 3's story is a lot darker and serious this time around, and I honestly really like that. The backstory is pretty engaging, but again, story isn't the most important thing about fighting games. It's the gameplay most people care about. Tekken 2's gameplay was quite a big improvement from the first Tekken game, so does Tekken 3's gameplay improve upon Tekken 2's?
Oh yeah!
The gameplay in Tekken 3 perfected the Tekken formula and set the stage for the games as a whole. The controls are faster and more fluid. I'm especially happy that they fixed the knockdown reaction time. In Tekken 2, when you got knocked down, it would either take a few seconds to get back up, which kinda made it frustrating to play at times. But here in Tekken 3, that problem has been taken care of, as you're able to recover quickly. They also fixed the gravity-defying jumps that were in Tekken 2. Character movesets have been even more expanded upon, with more follow-up moves, chains, tons of different grabs from combo to air, grapples, and even moves that cancel attacks. Heck, there was even more emphasis on air juggling. The game's new engine also made sidestepping more easier to pull off. All in all, the gameplay received a massive overhaul thanks to the new game engine being used, and this really created a very addicting experience. This time around, we got quite a ton of new characters. Most are replacements of characters that didn't return, like for example, Jin Kasama acts as a replacement for both Jun and Kazuya, as his moveset is built up with moves from both his parents, which was pretty cool I think. Another replacement was Hwarang, who replaces Bake in the style of Taekwondo, as he was a student of his. And then we have totally brand new characters like Ling Xiaoyu and the popular Eddie Gordo, representing the insanely cool capoeira style. Believe me, all the new characters are great additions and fit into the game perfectly. Though I will say that as much as I enjoy Ogre's design, I feel that he wasn't as impactful as a boss compared to Kazuya in Tekken 2. I mean, Ogre's true form is cool and everything, but they didn't really emphasize just how much of a threat he was, and honestly, he just came off a little sloppy. But with that said, I still do like his design to say the least. Anyway, Tekken 3 also brought in 2 different modes, Tekken Force and Tekken Ball. Tekken Force is pretty much a beat-em-up style game where you select a character and traverse through a level in side-scrolling fashion. If you're able to beat all 4 levels at least 3 times, you're then able to have a chance to unlock a hidden character named Dr. B, who I gotta say has to be one of the weirdest fighting game characters I have ever seen since Soul Calibur's Baldo. I mean, just look at him! This mode can be very challenging, especially when you go up against more than 2 enemies. Personally, one of the best ways to complete this mode is choosing a certain character and spamming one of their moves. In my case, I spammed Jin's roundhouse kick move. Yeah, I know it's pretty cheap, but fuck it, these guys aren't playing fair neither. I mean, 4 to 5 against 1, piss off. That said, I really did enjoy this minigame a lot. The other new mode is Tekken Ball, which is pretty much Tekken Volleyball. This minigame is surprisingly very fun and addicting. I remember spending countless hours on it when I was a kid. Anyway, this is a mode that allows you to unlock another hidden character, and believe me, fighting against him is interesting. Believe me, you have to experience it for yourself. The graphics in this game look amazing for the PS1, from the in-game fighting to the stunningly beautiful CGI scenes. Character models look even more smoothed out and less blocky like they did in Tekken 2, with more detail to the characters' clothing and hair. Granted, their faces do look expressionless, but it really doesn't bother me too much. The animations are even more fluid and expressive than they were in Tekken 2, which gives off a very nice, realistic vibe. And like I mentioned earlier, the CGI animation scenes in this game are outstanding. While I still think that Tekken 2's intro is the most impacting, Tekken 3's is still pretty amazing in and of itself. The tone feels much darker, and it does a great job of showing off the different personalities of the characters. I still get chills when I see Nina awaken from her cryogenic sleeping chamber, but this also translates to the character endings, which look great for a PS1 game. While the characters don't speak, the use of body language was done very well, so you pretty much get what they are trying to say or express. I can't express enough how much I enjoyed watching every character CGI ending, even if in Nina's, Anna's walk animation was hilariously awkward. I love the character designs in this game, as they are so 90s in nature when you look at them now, excluding Ogre of course. If I had to choose 3 designs I like the most, they'd have to be Jin, Hwoarang, and Nina. Though again, all the characters look very well done, especially Yoshimitsu. I may like his Tekken 2 look a little more, but his Tekken 3 look is pretty cool as well, and it's probably the most iconic look of his, and Tekken 3 as a whole. The stages in this game are, well, they are okay. They are pretty nicely designed, and I especially enjoyed the stages for Jin, Heihachi, Hwoarang, and Gon, but I have to admit that I personally don't find them as immersive as the levels in Tekken 2. Again, I'm not saying that the levels in Tekken 3 are bad, and the characters look very natural in them, but I just personally enjoyed the stages in Tekken 2 a teensy bit more. All in all, the graphics in this game are fan-freaking-tastic, and set the stage and tone for the feel of Tekken as we know it. The music in this game is pretty good, and I personally enjoy both versions of the soundtrack. The arcade version gives off a more raw, dirty, in-your-face kind of sound, while the remix versions sound more stylized and experimental. It's hard for me to choose which one I prefer, because I really enjoy listening to both versions. Do I like Tekken 3's soundtrack more than Tekken 2's? Honestly, I like the soundtrack in Tekken 2 more, but Tekken 3 is definitely my second choice. All in all, the music in this game is great and provided quite a few memorable songs like Jin's, King's, and Nina's, especially Nina's. I was so obsessed with their song when I was a kid. I mean man, it fits her character personality perfectly. The only negative I have for this game is the character unlock. Gaming YouTuber Katakaris pointed this out, and at first I never really thought much of it until I went back to replay the game from scratch. You see, in Tekken 2, you unlock characters by playing certain characters, and while this could be frustrating, it gave you incentive to learn how to play all the characters. In Tekken 3, you can unlock characters by playing the same character over and over again, which is a positive for some people, but for me, I prefer the Tekken 2 way mainly because it made you learn how each character works. With that said, this is just a small nitpick, because it doesn't affect the game as a whole, and Tekken 3 was still a very addicting game with all of the modes and unlockables it had. Tekken 3 was hands down the best 3D fighting game of the 90s, with tons of characters, fast responsive and fluid controls, tons of unlockables for its time, and a very nice soundtrack. I proudly give Tekken 3 a 10 out of 10. Tekken 3 deserved all the praise it got and continues to get today. Does Tekken 3 still hold up today?
Yes! Yes! Yes!
The game still plays very well, thanks to the responsive controls and the fast gameplay style. So out of the trilogy, which Tekken game do I like the most? Definitely Tekken 3, mainly because of the gameplay enhancements, but seriously, all the games are good in their own ways. Anyway, what was the next move for Tekken after the success of Tekken 3? Well, the PlayStation 2 was just around the corner and Namco began work on a debut Tekken game for the PS2. Stay tuned for my review of Tekken Tag Tournament, coming soon. Hey there everyone, thanks a lot for watching this video. Like and hit subscribe for more upcoming videos coming soon. I upload a new video every Friday. This is Decadent Gamer, and again, thanks for watching. Catch you later.